Hello everyone. Today I'm here to talk to you about evolutionary convergence. When unrelated organisms independently evolve similar traits, we call it evolutionary convergence. This happens as natural selection favors similar adaptations for similar challenges. Hello, I'm Dr. Sara Ahmed, and this is a science concept. What is evolutionary convergence? It is a fascinating biological phenomena where unrelated organisms independently evolve similar traits or solutions to similar environmental challenges. This happens not because they share a recent common ancestor with those traits, but because natural selection has favored similar adaptations in response to similar ecological niches or physical constraints. What I want you to get out of this presentation is convergent evolution demonstrates how physical laws and environmental demands can shape the bodies and behaviors of very different animals in remarkably similar ways. Classic examples of evolutionary convergence: streamlined body shapes in aquatic animals. For example, dolphins, who are mammals, sharks, who are fish, and ichthyosaurus, which is an extinct reptile, all evolve a torpedo-shaped body, fins and flippers. They are not related. They don't share a recent ancestor, but they were living in a similar environment that requires these adaptations. Water is a dense and resists movements. A streamlined body reduces drag, making swimming more efficient, regardless of ancestry. Another example: wings for flight. Birds, bats, and insects all have wings, but their wings evolved independently from different body structures. Why? The need to fly led to similar adaptations, but the underlying anatomy, bones and muscles, is different. A third example: eyes. Octopuses and humans have camera-like eyes with a lens, retina, and iris. But these structures evolved independently. For sure, you know we are not related to octopuses, at least not close relatives. Why these adaptations? Why these eyes? Both need to form clear images underwater or in air. So natural selection shaped similar solutions. So the big question is, why does convergent evolution happen? One explanation is the physical constraints. The laws of physics, like fluid dynamics for swimming or aerodynamics for flying, limit the number of effective solutions to certain problems. For example, large animals need strong support structures like bone or cartilage because gravity affects them more than small animals. The other reason for why these convergent evolutions happen is environmental pressures. Similar environments, deserts, oceans, forests, create similar challenges: heat, water, loss, movement. Remember, every ecosystem has its similar challenges. If a group of animals of different ancestry, different backgrounds, different shapes and sizes live in a similar environment, whether that's a body of water or a forest or the skies, they are faced by the same challenges. They either need to conserve water because this is a very hot, arid environment, or they need to fly. And for flying, you need wings. For conserving water, you need to have a small body and the ability to minimize water loss. If you need to swim in the environment you live in, you need to develop a certain shape of your body and develop certain appendages or structures that help you swim. So these things, by the laws of physics, you don't have a lot of solutions to the problem of swimming. You need to have this body shape, you need to have these appendages, and you need to be able to swim in that environment for you to survive, or for that animal to survive. That's why we find very different animals share similar traits. And that's exactly what we mean by evolutionary conversion. Unrelated animals may evolve similar adaptations: birds, bats, flies, or insects. Connecting convergence to animal form and function. Usually form follows function. The shape, which is the form of an animal body, is often a direct result of what it needs to do the function, to survive in its environment. Convergence illustrates that different lineages arrive at similar forms when faced with similar functions and constraints. What we mean by constraint is the challenges in the environment, the things that you need to survive. And you see, if you looked at these images, you see the wings of a bird, a bat, and an insect. They are all wings. They perform the same function, but their origin is different. The bird wings modified forelimbs with feathers. We have lightweight bones and powerful muscles to fly. On the other hand, bat wings developed from stretched skin between elongated fingers. So it's like it's the hand of the bat, basically. Thin membrane, it's excellent in maneuverability. What about the insect wings? These are outgrowth of the exoskeleton. No bones, different structural material entirely. So if you looked at these wings, these are the best example for these evolutionary convergence. Why? Because all these three structures in totally different animals, or different animals from different families and developed from different structures within their bodies, but they perform the same function. Why? Because the environment they live in requires flying. So this form followed the need for performing a certain function, which is the performance or the flying in this case. I think these animals look so similar, even though they are not closely related. This is how you think about evolutionary convergence. And in this case, it's natural selection, it's not ancestry, can lead to similar solutions. So in any ecosystem, if you looked at how animals behave or function within that ecosystem, you find that they function similarly. So it's nature's way of showing that. Given similar problems, evolution often finds similar answers, even in very different animals. Okay. Thank you. This was my take on the meaning and how to explain evolutionary convergence. I hope that was helpful, because this is a very important subject in the understanding of evolution, whether it's in the animal kingdom or even the plant kingdom. Plants have similar behaviors to this, okay? And if you looked at an ecosystem that's desert, how do you adapt to desert? You adapt to desert by conserving water, okay? You adapt to desert by being small in size, and you regulate your heats very precisely. And these adaptations, being small in size, having that excellent ability to conserve water, okay, other mechanisms that help animals live in a desert environment, are similar in reptiles, mammals, and even plants. They all have to be able to do that. Maybe they do it in slightly different ways, but that's what they need to do. Okay? If the environment they live in requires burrowing adaptation, meaning they burrow into the earth, they dig inside the earth, then their bodies needs to be compact. They have to have very strong digging abilities, and the limbs should help with that. Some animals use their face structures. So this is similar in mole rats and worms and things, the animals that are not related. For high altitude, for example, adaptations include you have to be able to capture oxygen very efficiently, because high altitude is characterized by low oxygen concentrations. Okay, you need to be able to resist cold and tolerate it. And this ability is there in birds and mammals. Mammals like humans, for example, we can go into very high altitudes and still be able to function or survive. So the takeaway messages: multiple path, same destination. Evolution repeatedly finds similar solutions to similar problems across unrelated groups. That's one message that I would like you to take. Physical reality shapes life. The laws of physics and chemistry constrain and direct evolutionary pathways. You don't have a lot of solutions to the problem of flying. You have to have wings, and you have to be able to move these wings. So there is no other possibilities that exist in nature. Predictable patterns. Convergence suggests evolutions follow predictable patterns based on environmental challenges. Okay? So this is basically what we mean by evolutionary convergence. And I thank you for being with me in this discussion, and I hope it was helpful. Thank you.